our first German podcast, and it's called Slow German Podcast for Beginners A1 to B1 Learn German with Falk. I started to listen to this when I was on Unit 25 of Section 4 of the German course on Duolingo, to give you an idea of what vocabulary, etc. I'd already covered. So this podcast is very slow talking with clear enunciation, covering topics that include a lot of basic vocabulary. Funny thing is, when I first started listening and noticed how slow it was, I realised I was already listening at 1.5 times speed, because that's generally what I do with audiobooks, and it was still very slow. But at that stage of my learning, this was quite good, because it meant I could concentrate on the vocabulary and it helped with it starting to stick. The presenter, Falk, talks through the topic, sometimes giving a vocabulary clue, and then at the end he goes through a selection of the more difficult vocabulary in more detail. At this stage, this was good for me because it meant that I could confirm I'd understood what was being said. However, by the time I'd reached about episode 40, I wanted to move on to something more challenging in terms of speed and complexity. With this type of podcast, I think there will always come a point where that happens, and it should happen. Sometimes faster is better because you get more of the sentence quicker and can get the context quicker. But this is definitely a worthwhile starting point. If you want to try this one out, a link to the podcast on Spotify is in the description.